Hey guys, MoneyBand300 back for some more videos here, and this time we are going to be going over my review of the Xbox One Elite controller. And if you don't know what that is, it's a high-end controller that Microsoft has recently released. I believe it was announced back in the E3 time frame and came out either late summer or early fall. I've been using it for about a month now, and I've got some good playtime in, and I wanted to give you guys, a review on what I think of it. We'll look at the accessories. It comes with all kinds of stuff, and also I got the charging station that goes along with it, so we'll take a look at that, and then we'll go into the Xbox One app and look at all the settings that you can do, the button mapping and sensitivity settings and all of those things. So first off, let's take a look at the controller itself here. Okay, so here is the controller itself. You can see it comes in this case here. Nice hard cover protective case that, if you're transporting or you're going anywhere with it, that's good. That works well. Let's take a look at the controller itself. So here is the controller. Oh, let me get all the way in the camera here. My microphone's in the way. There we go. All right. So here is the controller itself. Looks slightly different. You can see a little bit of the metallic up here. It's got grip on it. It's significantly heavier than the regular Xbox One controller. It feels really, really solid. That's the first thing you're going to notice when you get it out and you put it in your hands to game. It just feels like it's well made. I mean, it really has a nice feel to it, albeit a little bit heavy, and that may take a little bit of getting used to. So that's the first thing that you're going to notice about that. The second thing that you'll probably notice is that it has these paddles on the back that actually act as buttons and can be mapped to any of the buttons on the controller, which is super handy, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we've got those. The next thing, we've got what we call trigger stops, and some of you might be familiar with trigger stops and some of these buttons down below if you've used a SCUF controller and those things, but they have these little trigger stops. So right now I have the trigger stops on, and I'm going to try and demonstrate this. See if I can get into the camera. There you go. So you see it only goes down just a little bit, about halfway maybe. Now there is a switch here on the bottom. If I flip that switch, now that allows for that trigger to go all the way down. May not be real noticeable in the video, but it's pretty noticeable feel difference in there. What that does is in a shooter game and things like that don't require to go full, some of those are more on and off, and doesn't matter how far you pull it. You get a quicker reaction. So when you're aiming down the sight or you're shooting and things like that, you just get that split second, which in some cases can make the difference in a game like Call of Duty or something that's a little bit more Twitch style shooting. So that's the trigger stops. Now what's also really cool about this is it's fully customizable. So I can do different things. Let me turn this around so you guys get a good picture of that. But different thumbsticks. Each one of these is actually magnetic. And it comes on, so you can see there, I got that there. I can take this one off. But the great thing about it is it doesn't, when they're on there, it feels really solid. You don't notice it. The D-pad comes off as well. So if I take all these off, and I can show you guys the other attachments that comes with it. So we've got this D-pad attachment here, just like that. So it's more of a, you get more of the directions. If you got a game that utilizes more than just the 4 directions and goes up into here, it gives you a little bit more of a rocker feel, and it's really nice. It feels really good. So there's that one. There's also 2 different size, 3 different total. These are the shortest thumbsticks. I don't know if you can see there. We've also got the longest thumbsticks, which are right here, and I'll put that on there, and you can really see the difference in length on there from the other ones that were there. So that one, and then there is a medium. So the medium, now the thing about the medium is it's also domed. I really would have liked to have, I don't usually use the domed ones, but I do like the medium length. But you can see the length difference there just a little bit. But they're domed on top. I don't know if you can see that as well, instead of the concave feeling of the regular ones. I like the concave feeling, but I would like to have medium in there. I'm not sure why. It actually would be nice if, maybe this is going to be customizable in the future. Maybe it's out there now. I don't think it is, where you could just buy different lengths of each one of these, and it just comes with certain ones. So that's all the different things that it comes with. Right now, depends on what I'm playing, but right now I'm using the shorter ones primarily. I do like the longer ones for the steering in Forza, so I will generally flip over to that. So that's kind of cool. Let's talk about the back of it a little bit. So I mentioned that we have these paddles here. You can have up to 4. I only have 2 of the paddles on because I'm just not quite coordinated enough. Let's see if I can get this other one out of here. There we go. Just not quite coordinated enough to use all 4. So I'm only using 2. I may continue to work my way up, but these, again, this thing is really, really well made, by the way. All these parts go in and out. Just super fluid. You could tell there's some put that hand upside down. There's some engineering that went into this. So the button feels are really feel really good. Right, they're really easy to push. So that may be good, it may be bad. It's really easy to accidentally push it because it doesn't take much force at all. But you could assign all 4 of these buttons and technically never have to take your thumbs off of the thumbsticks to use the A, the B, the X. You could also assign them to left and right stick clicks, right bumper, left bumper. I don't remember if you could assign the triggers, but I think you can as well. So you got up to these 4 buttons in here. Like I said, I just used the 2. So I'm going to take those 2 back out. That's just what I'm used to. And I'll talk about what I assign them to when we get to that part. So that's that part. And what I'm going to do is I also have a SCUF controller here. I compared a little bit to that. It's really more standard, but if you've used a SCUF, you're familiar with it at all. You see we've got the same sticks at the bottom. Now, let me see if you can hold it. When I hold this, it's about like this, and my fingers and you just kind of push down with it that way, and it takes a little bit of pressure on there. And you can hear the clicks on them. With this one, where I naturally hold it, your fingers kind of just overlap over it, and it takes just a little bit of pressure. So you can accidentally hit some of those buttons, and you'll see that sometimes. But I really, really like the feel. As I've gotten used to it, I love this controller. I haven't found, and I'll talk about any negatives I have later, but so far, it's a fantastic controller. It is the best controller I've done. Now, I know SCUF has another version of their, and I don't know if they call it the SCUF 1 Elite. I don't want to get it wrong, but the SCUF, I'm not trying to just discuss it all because it's an outstanding controller. I don't know if you caught this or not, but if you look at this thumbstick on here, I have destroyed that thing. All right, that's how much I've used this. I've literally destroyed the top of the rubber piece that goes on there from using it so much. So, love SCUF. Perfectly viable option as well, and I know that they have, I got one of the first ones that came out for the Xbox One, but I know that they have a SCUF 1 Elite. I don't know if they call it that, I don't remember, but it's another version that that's even more customizable, can change out the thumbsticks and do some of the things that you can do here on the Elite controller. Also, it comes with a really nice, really long braided cord here. I don't use the cord, so if you want to play connected, right, instead of wireless, so that you're always plugged in, you don't have to worry about running out of the batteries. There is this really nice USB cable, corded, really heavy duty. Right, this feels good. Again, along with the theme of the rest of it, it's just a really well made, solid piece of hardware. So that wraps it up for the hardware piece. Now what we're going to do next is I'll jump into the software, and then once we're done with that, we'll wrap it all up with my conclusion, and I'll talk about any negatives that we might have as well. So let's hop on over into the software piece. Okay, so I realized that after I watched the video back, when I was getting ready to put together, that I forgot to talk about the charger that I got with it in the bundle completely. And I'm watching and I see the charger there on the table. Let me turn it around. See the charger there on the table, and I forgot to mention that. So there is a charger that you can get for it. I always like to use either rechargeable batteries that I did in my SCUF or have a charging stand. In this case, I did get the charging stand with it. It's nothing special. And as a matter of fact, compared to the rest of it, it's kind of a chintzy piece of plastic, and it's got this weird push-down mechanic that I'm not sure is really necessary. And I'll show you guys here. You do have to replace the back panel. I've never actually taken it off since I had it on. It's kind of hard to get off. This is the default one that comes with it for your regular batteries, which is kind of cool. It feels better. Again, this is almost cheap plastic on there too. So Nothing big, but it works. I would have liked to seen it be sturdy like the rest, but it does just sit up on there just fine. And there is actually, I don't have it plugged in, but along here is a little light here, and it's red while it's charging, green all the way around. It goes all the way around the whole base of it. It's kind of a light inside there, which is kind of cool. I don't know, but you put it on, right? And you get there, and then you do this weird click down thing. It's okay, right? There's nothing special about it. I think it's the only one for the Xbox. So if you want a charging stand, this is your option right now. But even this, it's kind of loose. It's it doesn't get great reviews, and I can see why. I haven't had any problems with it though. It works fine, and it does the job, and it looks nice. It looks just fine, kind of, you know, almost like a little display case for the controller sitting up there. So I want to make sure I covered that as well. Nothing wrong with it. It works. It's just not as near as, it's not the same quality, which I found interesting. But it does the job. It keeps my controller charged, and I don't have any problems with it. Okay, now let's move on to the software. All right, so now we can go take a look at the software here. So first things first, how to get to the software. This was actually installed with one of the, I think with the big dashboard update and the whole upgrade. So it's called Xbox Accessories, and you're going to want to go to your My Games and Apps and then come over to Xbox Accessories. And that'll get you into here. And you'll need your, before you start, you're probably going to have to update the controller. It's a standard controller update that you've probably done on your other controllers. Plug it in, plug your USB cable in, go to the settings, and go update your controller. I don't remember if it asks you to update when you come into here. But anyway, you come in here, make sure you're using the controller, the Elite controller, to do the configuration here, and it should show it here. You'll know if you're connected or not. First thing, you can go into more options, and you can name your controller. And I got super creative with mine and made it my gamer tag. I'm sure I could have come up with something else, but it's all I could think of at the time. So you can name your controller, name it whatever you want. And then the other thing you can do, there's just a little explorer here. Just talks a little bit about things that we have already went through. So we'll get through that. We'll get to the actual configuration here in a second. One more thing I wanted to mention that I didn't show, and there's actually two things, and I'll talk about the other one in a second. Actually, I could just talk about both of them now. One of them is if you use a headset, and I have like a Turtle Beach headset that I needed to get the Xbox One adapter for, there is actually a 2.5 millimeter jack. Is it a 2.5 or a 3.5? I don't remember. I think it's 2.5. Let me look. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's a. Oh, that seems a little. It's a 3. Something doesn't seem. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side. So 3.5 millimeter jack that you can just plug headphones into. Right? You could just plug standard headphones into, or you could plug your headset into. Now, the issue I've had with plugging my headset into is the mic works fine, but the audio for voice chat coming through is really, really low. And I haven't really looked into it, and I don't know if it's just an issue with my headset or not, but just be aware that I am still using the adapter. I like the adapter anyway because I got a quick mute button there that I can use, but you may not have to. So want to get that out. The second thing is there's a switch on top here, and you can see it in the picture there. It's got a 1 and a 2. What that does is it allows you to store two different configurations on the controller and then switch between them. So right now you can see I have 2 loaded here, Black Ops 3 and Forza 6 manual with the clutch. Now this one manual with the clutch I don't actually use. This is a pre-configured one that comes with the controller. All these that you see below, with the exception of this copy one that I made, are all ones that just came with the controller. A Forza 6 manual, a couple of Gears of War, a bunch of Halo 5, and a Sunset Overdrive configuration. So it came with some pre-made ones in there, and then I went ahead and made my own for Black Ops 3 for the way that I like to have the controller laid out. So I didn't show either of those things, just want to make sure we got that out of the way. So first off, let's talk about the actual configuration you can do. So I'm going to go into the Black Ops 3, it doesn't matter which one you pick, and show you each of the different things that you can do here. So first off, button mapping. So you come in here, you can map any button to any button. That includes the triggers, the bumpers, the stick clicks, the paddles, the D-pad directions. Oops, I bumped one of the, speaking of those, I bumped one. All of the different things in here. This is A, B, X, and Y can all be remapped. Your left bumper, your right bumper, your left and right triggers, your left and right stick clicks, your D-pad up, down, left, and right. You cannot do like corner buttons, just the 4 directions on the D-pad. And then your paddles, your upper left paddle, your upper right paddle, and your 2 lower right paddles which are the ones that I use, are the lowers. So every single button in here. So if I wanted to, let's say for instance, I don't like what's on the A button for a particular game, and I'd rather it be the Y button or have the same function as the Y button. I don't know why I'd want that, but if I did, or maybe I wanted it to be the same as a bumper. I don't want to take my hand, I don't want it to come off the trigger, or I want to map it to a stick click. Those are probably things that are more applicable. I could say, okay, well, I want A to be left stick click. And now if I hit done here, you can see it changes the picture over there. That is now remapped. That is really cool. We've never had the ability to just completely remap all the buttons in a controller. It's always been game specific, and whether the game allowed you to remap any of the buttons or have different configurations. Now you can do it yourself inside of here, and you can map it for a specific game like I've done, and load those configurations in and out and store 2 configurations on here. So that's really cool. I was going to show here. So the main ones that people are probably going to do more often are the paddles. So you can see here I have my paddles are mapped. I hit the B button. Go back into button mapping. There we are. Pick your paddles here. And like I said, I use the lower paddles. You can see my lower left is mapped to A. I don't believe that's the default, but I mapped that because that's what I'm used to on the SCUF controller. And then my lower left is mapped to B. So I did those, and I did X and Y on the other ones, but I took those off because I could not manage all 4 at the same time. It's enough just to get used to 2. So that's really, really cool. You can remap everything on here. The things you can't remap are stick directions. So I can't map like stick up and down to different things, or sticks right and left. I cannot remap the Xbox button, and I can't remap the settings and the select buttons. So those all stay the same. Next up are the sticks, triggers, and vibrations. So it's pretty cool. There's some things you can do in here with the sticks, and you can see here got this little meter over here, and there's a few different settings. So this is just me moving. By the way, this here, as I'm going around in a circle, the edges of this and moving up against the stick are the smoothest I've ever felt. And I tested this against the SCUF that I have, and against the standard Xbox controller and the Day One edition, and it's just so smooth. It just, again, goes to the quality of the hardware that's there. Just really, really smooth and granular reactions. It's like when you have a really high-end mouse on your PC and everything just feels super smooth. That's what that feels like. So I have these different settings here now that you can use. So this delay. So if you can see here, the white is what default looks like. So, and then the green is what's actually happening. So this is in comparison to default. So you can see it just lags behind a little, and then it catches up really fast at the end. I have no idea what the application of this would be or what game you would use it in, but there must be some thought behind this. There might be some things that, I'm not quite sure what it would be, but you do have the option to do that. Next one up is aggressive. Now we can go, aggressive is just going to move quicker. You can see it gets out quick. See that green out there, and the other one lags behind. So that's almost like turning sensitivity up. So if you had something that you couldn't control the sensitivity on, and you wanted your stick to be more sensitive, you could come in here and configure for that game and configure your sticks to be aggressive. Instant. This one's interesting. It's almost like clicking a button. Like as soon as you move it, it's all the way there. One application I can think of for this is there are some people that use the stick to shift gears up and down. What you could do is set it that for instant, so it really, as soon as you go, it's going to click. There'd be no delay or no anything in there. That could be a really good use for that, and I can see where that could be really helpful. Couldn't really think of too many others, but that's definitely one possible use case for that one. Next one up is smooth. Smooth is interesting to me. So it just slightly, like if I go real slow, you can see what it does there. So it comes out a little bit faster. Right, you can see the green. And then it gets even out there, and then it kind of slows down a little bit. So, not really sure what that means or what that does. And I've actually tried this with Call of Duty, but I didn't really notice anything. And I went back to default. But I find it interesting. So maybe if you're having problems, if you're a little twitchy with it, maybe this will help. My guess is this is supposed to help smooth things out a little bit in there. So those are all the different settings you can set. I'm going to switch it back to default here and then go back. You can do that for the right and left sticks. You could have different settings for your right and left sticks. I'm going to go in here. So let's say I set one of these just to show you guys real quick. It will come up and show. Now you can see on the left stick that, okay, I have that one set for delay. That's just the little icon there that's next to it. So I'm going to go back to default before I forget, and it messes me all up. So that's your left stick and your right stick and things you can do there. Now onto the triggers. You can set, and you can see I have full range of motion. I do not have the trigger stop set. You can set dead zones on your triggers if you wanted to. Again, I'm not quite sure the application of this, but you can see here now when I pull that trigger, I have a little bit right there. So I pulled it this far and it does nothing, and then it starts to get into things. So maybe there's a good application for that. I don't know what it is. Forza already offers the ability to set those dead zones in there. So maybe if there's a game that didn't and you wanted to set them yourself, you would have that ability in here. I don't know about other racing games. Maybe it's applicable there, but you do have that level of customization that you can use. Vibration, you can control the amount of vibration in your triggers individually. So you got left trigger, and you can hear this is on full here, and then all the way down to almost nothing. So these are the defaults here. I leave it at the defaults, and then I usually control these things in game. But again, it might be something you'll want to control that's game specific if they don't have those settings in the game. You can control your main, your left main, your right main, and then your left and right triggers in here. So that's your trigger. So again, lots of customization. And then Xbox button brightness. So you can also have the ability for your middle Xbox button there that they show to control the brightness on there. This is something that people are excited about. I'm not sure why. If it's too bright. People don't like how bright it is. I'm not real sure. So, but you can control it, and it works. I tested it. Maybe if you're in a low light situation, it's too bright. If you're playing in the dark, maybe it helps save batteries if you turn that down. I don't know, but you do have the ability to control it nonetheless. And then the other things you have to do, you can swap sticks. You can swap your sticks, invert your y-axis if a game does not allow you to do that. Some people like to invert that in a flying game and different things like that. And you can swap your triggers. So that is all of the customization that you can do in here. There's a lot of different things, if you think about it, that you could do. There's a lot of applications for this, and there's a lot of different things that you could do here. If you think about, if we look at these Forza configurations that are in here, these are some this manual here. You can see they have the X and the B buttons, B and X buttons on both sides actually mapped to the paddles, so that you can just do your shifting straight on those paddles right there. If you look at the manual with the clutch, they actually put the clutch on both of the left sticks. So you could do that, and then you could control your up and down there. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. Aside from the couple of different configurations that you have in Forza, there's a lot of different possibilities in here. You can use the clutch down underneath if you want, and clutch with the B and X, or clutch, or paddle with B and X, or paddle to paddle. And there's just so many different things that you can do, and you can make it game specific. You can create, I don't know the limit of configurations, but you can create configurations for each game. For me, I don't know if I'll customize it a lot for Forza just because I'm so used to what I do, but I might play around with some different things. But I play Destiny, Black Ops, and Halo also, and each one of those has slightly different configurations, and going from game to game is difficult. I'll probably end up trying to get all the buttons mapped so they're very similar between each one, so that when I get into them, they're all basically the same, and I don't have this learning curve that I have to go through to figure out where a grenade is, and where jump's always the same, and where my reload is, and all those types of things. So overall, this is a great controller. This is the best controller I've used on a console, hands down. It feels great in your hands. It's a great piece of hardware. You can tell that they spent some time on this, and they didn't just churn this thing out. Will it make me a better player? I don't know. Certainly, it helps. The paddles underneath are a big deal. If you learn to use those, it can give you an advantage that players that don't have those don't have, right? So it could help, but just overall, it's just a great piece of hardware and an excellent controller. Now let's talk a little bit about a couple of downsides here. Number one, it's expensive. Right, they aren't giving this thing away. It is more than double the cost of a standard controller. It comes in at $149 US. So not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. Even when you compare it to a SCUF, it's more expensive than most of the SCUFs, depending on the level of configuration that you build into one of those. But you get a lot for your money, right? I believe you will be happy with this purchase when you get it, based on all the things that you can do with it. Now, if you play like one game and you're good with your controller, maybe it's not that big a deal. If you play multiple games and have different ways that you can use this controller, it's probably worth it. It's a decision that everybody has to make. Is it worth the money? Is it not worth the money? For me, fantastic, right? I would buy it again in a heartbeat, feeling the quality of it, and just the way that everything in, with this controller works. It's a great controller, and I would definitely recommend it if it's something that you can fit within your budget. It's not going to make you a godlike player or anything like that, but it definitely is a fantastic controller. Second thing is it's a little difficult to find, right? It's been sold out basically since they announced it, right? The pre-order sold out quickly, and they aren't easy to find. I got it in a bundle with the battery charger, which I believe is still true. GameStop has, and you can just order them that way. They have those in stock. That's if you want the charger with it, and that charger will cost you, I believe, an additional $30. So, it'll take your $149 purchase to $179. But if you want the charger anyway, that's what the charger costs separately. You don't get a deal, but you don't pay more. And you can get the controller, right? It's the easiest way to get it for me. The second way is you can use a site like nowinstock.net, which I know this works in the US. I don't know about countries outside of there, but it'll check. You can basically register on there, look for Xbox accessories. There's Xbox Elite controller, and it'll check all the major retailers, the Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart, Target, those types of places, and will send you a text when they're in stock. And I was getting texts like, hey, Walmart has it. I click on it, and Walmart would have like 1 or 2, right? They're trickling into stores, or you can just wait and eventually there'll be greater availability. My guess is being a little bit higher price point on these, they aren't just going to flood the shelves with them, because you don't want higher end hardware and higher quality stuff sitting there collecting dust. So there will probably remain in somewhat limited quantity for a little while, but you can get them. They're just a little bit more difficult to get. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Great controller. I highly recommend you checking it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.